915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media. You can visit desertvoice.media to learn more.
915 TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is 915 Talk, and I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're broadcasting from the heart of the world's largest borderplex, and today we have a special guest with us. He's special, first of all, because he is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God, but also this is the most wonderful time of the year. Of course, Christmas coming in December, the new year, but this is Thanksgiving week, and what we're going to be talking about today is, I think, a piece of El Paso history that is something that we can be proud of here in the borderland. It's fun. You know, I've only been here for a few years. I only recently found out about this, and it's been fun to just begin to understand that El Paso has this very unique and important part of U.S. history, of North American history. And we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving. We're going to be talking about the first Thanksgiving. And I know a lot of you think that the first Thanksgiving happened at Plymouth Rock. I thought that my whole life, and I was recently corrected on that. So we hope to correct that piece of misinformation, that piece of fake news, that this is all has to do with Plymouth Rock, because the first Thanksgiving, I'm just going to bury the lead here and say it happened right here in the borderland. So our guest is our 915 Talk historian extraordinaire, a good friend of us on this radio journey. So let's give a very warm borderland welcome to the one, the only, Sargent Bernie Sargent. Bernie, welcome back to 915 Talk.
Thanks. It's always great to be here with you guys. It's a lot of fun. We share some information. I learn stuff because, oftentimes my Rolodex has been full for a long time. And, when somebody says, can you kind of talk a little bit about this subject or that subject, I have to go back and refresh my memory. So I appreciate you doing that, because one of the first things that my wife and I learned, much like you, when we got to El Paso, now it's about 40 years ago, was that the first Thanksgiving was actually in the San Elizario area, not in Plymouth Rock.
Right. So it's funny because this reminds me of the planet Pluto, Bernie, because you remember how, at least when I was little, I was told Pluto was a planet. And then later on, they said it's not a planet. And I think it's a planet again.
It is.
So, we're told
I thought that was Mickey Mouse's friend.
That's true too. Historically speaking, it's questionable whether it's a planet, but Pluto has always been Mickey Mouse's best friend, that's for sure. But with Thanksgiving, we're always told the story of the Pilgrims, Plymouth Rock, Squanto, which I consider to be a fascinating story, a great American story. But what you're saying is that is not the first Thanksgiving.
Technically, no, it's not. I know that the folks in Massachusetts will argue with us vehemently about it. In fact, a good friend of mine, the late Sheldon Hall, was actually arrested in Massachusetts when he staged a sort of an uprising there on his own, stating that they had it all wrong. And it was a mock arrest, but it was kind of fun. And he did go to jail, so to speak, and they argued about it, and they still insist it was the first one, but theirs was 1620 and ours was 1598. Well, the comment they came back was, well, this was in the United States. It said there was no United States back in 1620, and there was no United States in 1598.
Right.
Case in point, that blows that argument out.
Sure. Okay. So the Pilgrims arrived at Plymouth Rock in 1620. So they had the first Thanksgiving there. You're saying the first Thanksgiving was actually San Elizario. And for those who don't know, San Elizario is just outside of El Paso. It's southeast of the city. And it's right there on the Rio Grande, right there on the border.
Yeah, it was well, it's part of El Paso County, so we
Yes.
say it's El Paso. But if you go down, there's a little road there that runs through San Elizario. It's called Chicken Ranch Road.
Chicken Ranch Road.
Yeah, and if you follow out to the end of Chicken Ranch Road, that's approximately where Oñate and his group of people, and it was a fantastically large group of people, staged a La Toma, where he actually took possession of what we now know as West Texas and New Mexico for the King Philip II in Spain.
Okay, so they staged a. Sorry, I missed the word.
La Toma.
What is a La Toma?
La Toma it was a prayer of thanks, a prayer of declaration, a prayer of ownership. And by the time they had gotten to the Rio Grande River, they had lost a few people because of lack of water and food. So when they got to the river, in fact, sadly, a lot of the folks just ran and jumped in the water. A lot of the animals started drinking to excess, and it was fatal for some of them. But it was pretty nasty stuff. And there was a group of natives, the Mansos, that more or less welcomed them to the border and became friends with Oñate and his group of individuals. There were, let's see, I think there were somewhere around 500 to 600 people in that group. There was 7,000 cattle, 1,500 horses. So they needed a lot of food and drink to keep that group moving. In fact, they estimate the length of the train or the group was anywhere upwards of 3 miles long as they were making their way from right around Veracruz, a little bit east of Veracruz, north into what we now know as El Paso County.
Okay, so we as the human race love comparing. We love comparing stories to each other. We love comparing ourselves to others. So let's have some fun comparing the Pilgrims to Oñate. So the Pilgrims arrived on Plymouth Rock on the Mayflower. There was I don't remember the Indian tribe's name. I remember Squanto because that's just like I said earlier, it's a fantastic story. The natives, I think, were probably suspicious of them, but in general friendly. They taught them how to plant their crops and fish and all these kind of things. The Pilgrims were escaping religious oppression in Europe, whereas Oñate did not arrive by boat. He was crossing a desert, and he was not escaping Europe. It was kind of the opposite. He was trying to claim land for Europe. And he arrives, but just like for the Pilgrims, where they lost people on the way, and it was a very difficult journey, their journey was across the ocean and getting acclimated to their new home surroundings there at Plymouth Rock. But for Oñate, it was this journey across the desert, and he had also plenty of reasons to thank God for still being alive.
Absolutely did. Yeah, the Pilgrims, they were a group of individuals. They referred to them as separatists. They were religious. They believed in Christ, but they didn't want to follow the edict of the Church of England, which was Catholicism, and kind of a modified Catholicism. What was happening in England at the time is you had this level of bureaucracy within the church, and the separatists wanted to worship God. They didn't want to have to go through all these people, the bishops and all those folks, to get the word to God. At that time, that was kind of the belief of a lot of the Catholics, especially the Church of England, because they could control the people if they controlled the religion, and that's kind of what they were doing. So the separatists kind of broke away and, in essence, created a Protestant movement within the worship of Jesus. And these particular pilgrims, a lot of them were living in Holland at the time. They had left England, went to Holland, but they didn't really like the lifestyle up there either. So when they learned of all of this adventure across the ocean, they decided, well, we'll go back to England and we'll board a boat, actually 2 ships. They had one called the Speedwell and one called the Mayflower. And both of those ships were going to head to the New World, where they could set up and they could practice their belief in God the way they thought they should.
Right.
Unfortunately, the Speedwell sprung a leak not far from shore in England. So they went back and repaired it, and they took off again. And this time they got about 200 miles off the coast of England and sprung another leak. And so all the provisions they had on the Speedwell went back to England, and the people that were on that one got on board the Mayflower, and they continued their voyage to Plymouth, or actually to the New World. And that's kind of what motivated them to get off the continent, the European continent. They wanted to worship the way they felt they should worship.
Right. And again, Oñate was, I guess, under orders from King Philip to claim territory for the Spanish crown. Is that correct?
Territories to include converting the natives to Catholicism, just a kind of an interesting irony. You've got these people trying to get away from it, and you've got Oñate, who is traveling north, taking it with him to get the natives to embrace Catholicism. And here's another little sidebar too that a lot of folks didn't know. A number of the people, and I mentioned that there were anywhere between 500 and 600 people with them, a lot of whom were soldiers, but a lot of the citizenry that was with them had actually left Spain and went to England to get away from prosecution because they were Jewish. And yeah. And so they ran away to the New World so that they could practice Judaism. And when they got to the New World, they had to kind of hide it. They were, I refer to it as under the altar. They couldn't practice openly their faith. So a number of them thought, you know what, if we get on board with Oñate and travel north, maybe we can start practicing our religion the way it should be practiced.
Yeah. Okay. So you have, of course, Oñate, who has a job to convert the natives, claim territory, find gold, find precious metals, and you have the pilgrims who are escaping from persecution in Europe. They did not feel that they could practice their beliefs in a free and open way. But together with Oñate, you have some undercover Jewish people.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're here on this expedition to convert people to the Catholic faith, but actually they have a totally different secret purpose.
They did. And it's interesting too, because I think we mentioned in previous discussions, a lot of folks in what we call New Mexico now did not quite understand why they had these candles, with and a lot of the things they were doing as Catholics and celebrating Christmas were Jewish traditions, but they didn't know that that's where it came from.
Okay. All right. So again, the pilgrims were on this ironically named ship Speedwell. It did not speed well. They end up, from what I remember from elementary school, they end up on the Mayflower. Yeah. They end up at Plymouth Rock. You're saying Oñate had this massive expedition. If I remember from previous conversations, it was maybe 500 people in the expedition. You're saying that this caravan spread out across the desert for maybe 3 miles, and they lost people along the way as they're traveling from Mexico City. When they arrive at the Rio Grande, the animals, some of them were so dehydrated that they died from drinking so much water.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they had a real problem. And along the way, they had some situations where they had crossed some rivers and some creeks that were, at the time before they went into the desert, there was some water there, but the water was running so fast that they couldn't get the sheep to cross the water because they would, the wool would weigh them down. They would drown.
Sure.
So when they got everything across the river, this was about midway from their trip from down south, he had his teams take the wheels off all of the carts, take them back across the river, and put the sheep on top of the wheels and float them across the river.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, kind of an ingenious way of making things happen. But when they got to Chicken Ranch Road, And I did send you a map that showed that.
Yes, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
When they got there and they were doing the Latoma, they actually put together a play, and they just celebrated because there was fish, there was fowl to eat, but the river was wide at that time, so it was too dangerous to try to cross that 3 mile long grouping of animals and people. So he sent a handful of his best swimmers downstream, or upstream, I should say, towards what is now present day El Paso. And they found the best place to cross that kind of a group of individuals and animals up around where the La Hacienda restaurant used to be.
Right.
It's now called Oñate's Crossing. So that's where they
Right.
ended up crossing into this part of the continent.
Right. And I absolutely am required right now to give a shout out to the organization that currently occupies the La Hacienda restaurant. It's called Ibarra. A good friend of mine is the executive director there, Sammy Di Pasquale. He's been a part of this program before, but they're doing a great job there of really helping the community understand a lot of our border issues better. Really great people over there. I've had the opportunity to be now in the La Hacienda, just and see their plans for expansion and really rebuilding that whole area. And it is interesting. So what you're saying is they had the Thanksgiving, the true first Thanksgiving,
Yes.
and San Elizario. They had this La Toma, but they just realized that the river was too wide. So Añate sends scouts out, and I suppose what they found right there, which if folks don't know where the La Hacienda restaurant is, it's just down the hill at the border, just down from UTEP. It's right there.
Across Lake
So,
Bend from Egypt.
yeah, and so that's where the party ended up. What I'm understanding you to say is crossing in their entirety.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that
Okay.
was the narrowest portion with the least amount of rapids that they could venture to cross into this part of the world. Can you imagine being a native living in the El Paso area or anywhere along that trail, along the Camino Real, and you see this group of people, the dust that followed it, the flags, the armament, everything that they were carrying, the horses, as they were riding north towards you? What would cross your mind?
Yeah, I thought about that before. I guess it would be something similar to if today aliens showed up
Yeah,
in El Paso, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's yeah, and it worked both ways because here's a group of people that have practiced, Catholicism, which has its controls,
Hmm.
and they happen upon these semi-dressed, sometimes not dressed natives along the way. What was going through their mind?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So you have this sudden clash of cultures, all these people coming together. You're saying that the this tribe, I forgot the name already.
The Mansos?
The Mansos was friendly. They received them, which is so interesting and fantastic. So we have a lot more to talk about, but we do. I'm looking at the clock. We do need to take a break. If you're just joining us, we're with our. I'm going to call him now our historian in residence here at 915 here at 915 Talk. Just a good friend of what we're doing here. His name's Bernie Sargent. Bernie, it's been fun getting to meet people throughout the community and finding out just all the different ways you've met people in El Paso while you're here. Sadly, you're living outside of El Paso now, but always appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience and just all the research you've done over the years for El Paso, because I find that learning about history is kind of a way to just get to know the community. But I'm also seeing that there are all these really great people who have gotten together over the years and really studied it, and it's brought the community together in real ways. So appreciate all the work you've done over the years. And again, it's been fun to meet so many people who, oh yeah, I know Bernie Sargent. So yeah. So
there's some great people there. And I tell you what, compared to some of them, I don't make a pimple on a fly's behind for history knowledge. I mean, there's some really, really smart people that have a grasp on history in El Paso. They're great.
Right. Yeah, it's super fun. Again, we're with Bernie Sargent. We're talking about the true first Thanksgiving, not the one at Plymouth Rock you heard about in school, but the one that happened on Chicken Ranch Road in San Elizario in 1598, a full 22 years before the Pilgrims arrived at Plymouth Rock.
April 21st.
April 21st. Okay, they did it at the wrong time of year, but we'll give them a break. We do need to go into a break. This is your daily reminder that 915 Talk is a production of Desert Voice Media, and the website is desertvoice.media. You can listen to this or any previous 915 Talk conversations by going to that website, clicking on the 915 Talk link. We also have 915 Pray, 915 Testify. We really believe that this radio ministry is here to engage the curious and equip the committed, but also just to serve our community. Sometimes we have religious programming. Sometimes we just talk history. But whatever it is, let's learn to love our city and love our neighbors and give God all the glory throughout it. And I hope that conversations like today do make us excited to be a part of this community. And as you're traveling, possibly to visit relatives over Thanksgiving weekend, I hope that you do brag to them that you come from the place where the very first Thanksgiving happened. So we're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
Breaking worldwide news. You can now feed your mind, feed your soul with great Christian teaching and talk on Alexa. That's right. All you have to say is, "Hey Alexa, play KELP radio," and boom! Instant Christian teaching, talk, and truth 24/7.
915.
Testify.
I used to party a lot in Juarez in my younger years, involved in 3 car crashes due to my addiction to alcohol. I almost lost my life. Thank God I never killed anybody. I'm just here to let you know that by the power of the Lord Jesus Christ, through His Holy Spirit, He transformed my life and He rescued me from alcohol. Jesus Christ can restore anything, and He was the one that made a difference in my life, and I am so grateful for Him. If you trust in Him, I guarantee you that He will not let you down, but you have to believe that He will, and He will do it. By the grace of God, I was involved in prison ministry here at the local county jail for 20 years, and only God knows how many hearts the Lord changed there, because I was just an instrument that would go there and share the truth of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. My name is Ruben Soria, and if God can do this transformation of my life, He can do it to anyone, because there is nothing impossible for God.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
And by the word of their testimony.
desertvoice.media.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
And we're back. We're with historian extraordinaire, Sergeant Bernie Sargent. That's not his stage name. His last name is Sargent, and his first name is Sargent. He was in the military. But we're talking about the true first Thanksgiving that happened right here in El Paso County in San Elizario on Chicken Ranch Road. I don't think Chicken Ranch Road was there quite yet, but this was in 1598. It was the Oñate expedition. They arrived, they claim the territory for the Spanish crown, but then they gave thanks to God for bringing them safely. Also, from what I understand, Bernie, they were pretty excited about the water, which is interesting, just historically, to look back to think that there was a time when it was dangerous to walk across the Rio Grande because there was too much water. It's still dangerous to cross, but not because of it being too much water. So they're there. Let's talk food because that's what everyone's thinking about this week during Thanksgiving week. I think we know that the Pilgrims did not eat turkey.
No.
That's from what I understand, it was lobster and maybe some clams, some fish, corn. But what we have on our Thanksgiving table today, stuffing and turkey, is a great tradition. Turkey being an incredibly dry meat that we only eat once a year for, I don't know, perhaps religious reasons. But
I think that George Washington was partially responsible for motivating people to eat turkey on Thanksgiving, which is
okay. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. But so that's what the Pilgrims were eating. What was Oñate's expedition eating?
Well, it didn't have the abundance of four-legged creatures to go after like they did in the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for the natives that lived in the East Coast, the Pilgrims probably would never figure out how to trap, how to capture, how to breed them so that they could provide subsistence going into the future. What Oñate and his group did, they had quite a bit of provisions with them, but as I mentioned, it took a long time, and by the time they hit the Chihuahuan Desert, they were out of water and they were very low on everything. So they were going for plant roots. You've got a number of different cactus that you can pull the roots up, and they also have some of the cactus, if you know how to get past the prickers, can be very good eating, like a prickly pear cactus.
Sure.
It makes a good jelly. It makes all kinds of different things you can do with that. Then you also have some of the trees that have berries on them that they were eating. So that they did a lot of that. Now, by the time they got to the Rio Grande, the Mansos showed them where and how to catch different types of fish. And there were a lot of fish in that river at one time. If you go north towards the beginnings of the Rio Grande River, there's a lot of fish. But by the time it gets down to El Paso and southern New Mexico, there's not a whole lot left. Plus, how the fish swim on sand. But it's it was interesting because there was an abundance of fish and an abundance of duck, wild chickens, all kinds of fowl along that river. Wherever there's a river, there's usually food. And that's why you would see all along the Rio Grande River as they were moving north, there were different tribes, different clans were living right along the river, and those were the people they would target initially to convert to Catholicism.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the Manso tribe, it's a Native American group. It's right there. San Elizario, and 500 people show up in their regalia. It's Oñate's expedition. We've done a whole program just on that expedition. But today we're talking about just their arrival in El Paso this Thanksgiving. From what we understand, the Manso people were welcoming, perhaps just like Squanto. They showed them how to survive there, showed them some of the food. But this does not sound like a great Thanksgiving feast, Bernie.
No, but it was in the tradition of Thanksgiving. They were giving thanks for what they succeeded in doing, and that was to get to the river. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Pilgrims were, it was a celebration of harvest. Mm-hmm. They're celebrating harvest. They're thanking God for harvest. But this one, they had a reason to really reach out and thank God because they were fortunate to make it as far as they did.
Yeah. I think it's important to say because, we kind of talked about this when we talked for an hour about Oñate's expedition. There are historians kind of differ on their view of him. just like people will differ on their views of us after our time here on Earth is done.
Yeah.
But it is great just to understand that despite the flaws that I'm sure the Pilgrims had as well, despite the flaws that Anyate may have possessed, and despite the flaws that we might possess, possibly, that it's great to understand that they understood that there is a higher power, and they need to give thanks to that. So that is super cool. I guess Anyate probably had some priests traveling with him.
Oh yeah, it definitely did. There was a vast quantity of priests that traveled with him. Obviously for good reason. Oñate needed some help as well as soldiers did too, and then all the civilians that traveled along definitely they needed that kind of attention also. Okay, in fact, this is what was read as a decree at the Latoma. On April 30th, 1598, Day of Ascension of our Lord at the Rio del Norte, Governor Don Juan de Oñate took possession of all the kingdoms and provinces of New Mexico in the name of King Philip, our Lord, in the presence of Juan Perez de Donis, royal notary, and the secretary of the jurisdiction and expedition. So he did give credit to our Lord in the Latoma in taking possession.
Again, just amusing side to all this. It must have been quite the affair, and it must have looked really strange to the Manso people, who had no idea that their territory was just claimed for the Spanish crown.
It really turned them upside down, that's for sure. There were two other tribes that lived in the area too: the Tiwa, that's Tiwa, not Tigua, Tiwa, and the Piro. So the Piro, Manso, and Tiwa tribes lived in the area, and they pretty much got along okay because they allowed each of their tribes to celebrate or worship whatever they worshiped, Mother Earth and so on, the way they wanted to, without trying to infringe on those beliefs and force them on them. So the Mansos, it appears that they adapted to Catholicism somewhat, with a little reservation, I'm sure, no pun intended, but they probably did. So, because a lot of them traveled with Oñate's group north.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long, just roughly, would you say Oñate was in the El Paso area before the expedition continued?
I believe it was somewhere April and June time frame. Hold on. I think it was June time frame when they continued going north.
Oh, interesting. So they were here just for a few months, and the Manso were like, we don't have a lot else going on, so we might as well join you, whatever this is.
My cable's not working. Let's get out of here.
I guess the historical record probably doesn't show how they communicated, because the Manso people hadn't been doing their Duolingo Spanish before Oñate arrived. And I'm sure Oñate spent no time trying to learn the Manso language.
Well, not him per se, but his people, especially the friars, the priests that were traveling with them, they definitely worked hard at learning that.
Oh, interesting.
So that they could communicate. Yeah. So they were basically the translators.
Oh, wow. That's great to hear. The religious professionals, we'll put it that way, were making the effort to learn the local language, and always love to hear of missionary work, as flat as it might be at times. I love hearing about the religious leaders making the attempt to learn what's going on locally, rather than only imposing what they came for. As someone who's a missionary for many years, I know how important that is, to first listen and then speak. So you're saying the friars were learning the Manso language, so somehow they're communicating and they're explaining, we're about to go on this journey, and the Manso, some of them joined them for this journey, and also converted to Catholicism, probably the best as they understood.
Yeah. And then, some of the friars would allow some of the tribes that they visited along the way to retain some of their beliefs.
Oh, interesting.
to make it more palatable to be around. But then there were some that said, nope, there's just no way you're going to practice that. It's Catholicism or not at all. And that posed some problems. That's when you ran into some situations where, well, it actually ended up with the Pueblo Revolt in 1680. So those are the kind of things that got in the way of Catholicism. Is some of these friars not working with them.
Right. Okay. So yeah, that's a big discussion we could probably spend hours on, because culturally that can be a question that even continues to this day. But when you have these 500 people, they showed up in El Paso. Did all 500 people continue on the expedition north, or did some stay?
From what I've read, again, I wasn't there, but from what I've read, they all just continued on the voyage north.
Okay.
Because they had a vested interest. They were looking not only at finding a new home, but they thought, well, if there's riches along the way, maybe we can absorb some of the wealth.
Mm-hmm.
None of which they found.
Yeah. So, but they arrived in San Elizario, actually crossed fully in El Paso, right next to UTEP, where the former La Hacienda restaurant is.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that San Elizario is one of the oldest cities in America. So did somehow they go back there?
Well, especially after the revolt up north, they brought a lot of the natives back with them. A lot of the natives didn't want to stay up there because they didn't believe in the revolt. They had adopted this religion, and they moved south along with the soldiers and their followers. They came south. Initially, from what I've read, the thought was, well, let's go down to this one mission. We'll move all these natives in there, regardless of what tribe they came from, and we'll live happily ever after. That just didn't work because the tribes didn't all believe the same things that each one did. Some were a little bit more ambitious in their trying to secure things, which bordered on thievery and so on. And some were just very, let's just say, resound to the fact that we're going to live under Catholicism. We're going to be Catholics, practicing Catholics. So that's when the leadership on the border said, okay, we're going to put missions along the river, and we'll have this tribe go here, this tribe go there, and they will live in the vicinity of the missions that they build. And that's how they were built. And if you look at that one map that's there, all those missions were on the south side of the river at one time.
Right.
And when the river, which rivers do, if they're not controlled, to change directions, it put them on the north side. And San Elizario was not a mission, it was Presidio. It was a military base, sort of the beginning of the area, the missions that we know today. They were there to protect the missions from the marauding Apaches mainly, because they had a bad reputation. So they were put there to protect the missions going north along the river. And if you look at the San Elizario also, it's shaped like a cross. And that was the standard design for Presidios in the day.
Oh, interesting. All right. So you have these missions that they set in place. A big part of the Spanish kingdom kind of moving forward was, of course, the Catholicism, the mission, and you can, I guess you're talking about the missions that we can still visit today. Yeah.
And some people, you'd mentioned the oldest city in Texas. That's debatable because it was on the south side of the river at the time, and it was not a Texas. It was not a United States. So you can argue that. This goes back to what we were saying earlier about the Pilgrims and Oñate. It's just it was not in the United States. I get that argument over here in East Texas because there's some missions over here that predate it, but Texas wasn't in the United States either. So
right.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, it's super fun to talk about, especially during Thanksgiving week. Being reminded of our heritage here in the borderland, and maybe let's not say United States, let's just say borderland, right? Because we're all here in this crazy borderplex.
Oh yeah,
and Right. Exactly. All right. If you're just joining us, we're with our historian residence. I always wanted to have a historian in residence, so now we have one. He just found that out himself. But Bernie Sargent, we have these monthly conversations just talking about El Paso history as we continue on this journey to love our city, love our neighbors, give God all the glory. And learning our history is an important part of loving our city. Learning where we're coming from also helps us understand, I believe, a little bit better about where we're going. And during this Thanksgiving week, before we go into a break, just want to say thank you to all you listeners who join us each and every weekday afternoon as we go on this journey with 915 Talk between 4 and 5 p.m. on this radio station. Thank you for joining us. I have one request for you. If you would send me a message, let me know you're listening. You can do that at desertvoice.media. Just hit the contact link there. Send me a message. Let me know you're listening. Let me know what programs you don't like, or you can even say thank you for the programs you do like. We always love to have your feedback. We hope that you're having a fantastic Thanksgiving week as we go into this holiday season. We're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
Breaking worldwide news. You can now feed your mind, feed your soul with great Christian teaching and talk on Alexa. That's right. All you have to say is, "Hey Alexa, play KELP radio," and boom! Instant Christian teaching, talk, and truth 24/7.
Hey KELP listeners, this is Mac Daddy Del Norte. Whether you're firing up the turkey fryer, perfecting Grandma's famous stuffing, traveling across the state to see family, or kicking off a new Friendsgiving tradition this year, we hope your day is filled with good food, great company, and a whole lot of gratitude. From all of us here at KELP Radio, we're thankful for you. You're the reason we love what we do. Have a happy, safe, and delicious Thanksgiving, everybody. Now let's get back to our broadcast.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
And we're back. You are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're with historian Bernie Sargent. We're talking about the true first Thanksgiving in present day United States. It was not the Pilgrims at Plymouth Rock. We are here to debunk that fake news that has permeated our nation over the past more than 400 years. We're going to change that with this program today. And we're saying that the true first Thanksgiving was in 1598. It was the Oñate expedition when they arrived at present-day San Elizario here in El Paso County. Super fun. 500 people were here. They gave thanks to the Lord for bringing them safely, much like the Pilgrims, to the New World. Bernie, it's interesting to understand that there are really two histories of the United States. There's the one that we learned in school, which is, I'm going to call it North Europe centric. Mm-hmm. And there's the one that we don't really talk about, but was, I believe, just as powerful, or it's at least older, and that is the Spanish influence and the Mexican influence from the South.
Oh, I agree. And had I not moved to El Paso, I may not have ever heard about it.
Sure.
And, so, like I mentioned earlier, that we became acutely aware of it because they had a big celebration right after we moved there. Sheldon Hall put it together, and I went, "What's this all about?" And doing some research and studying, I said, "Well, this makes sense to me." Now, right. My friends in Massachusetts won't like me anymore, but it makes sense to me.
Well, he won't like you because he doesn't want to deal with the facts, Bernie. That's what's happening.
Just the facts. That's all we want.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's talk about this because Añate arrived in April. He didn't realize that the first Thanksgiving was supposed to happen the third Thanksgiving of November or the fourth Thursday in November, however that works. The Pilgrims were grateful for surviving the first year. They were grateful for having a harvest. I'm sure that was a stressful first year, wondering if is this going to work, or are we all going to perish here in the new world? What ways have you seen Thanksgiving kind of morph throughout the centuries?
Well, there was always an appreciation that was spawned by the folks in Massachusetts. And I mentioned that George Washington gets credit for starting or initiating the thought of Thanksgiving. And his idea was that we would celebrate it on the first Thursday of November. And this was after the Constitution was enacted and we became a country. So this is one of the things he did. So it was the first Thursday that he came up with. And there was a lady, I'm trying to remember her name, Sarah Joseph Hale. She had a book that she put out on a regular basis for women on cooking and so on. And she promoted Thanksgiving and said that it really needs to be celebrated for a number of reasons. One, ulterior motive, she was trying to sell her cookbooks, but she also thought that we should give thanks for what we've accumulated throughout the year, and sort of set the bar. And that stayed that way until I think it was FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was getting a lot of pressure because between the first Thursday of the month with Washington, somebody came up with let's do this on the fourth Thursday of the month. And so there was a push to do the fourth Thursday of the month. And that kind of fell by the wayside because the shop owners, the store owners were going, that's not enough time to buy gifts for Christmas. So they started juggling the dates just to accommodate the merchants.
Yeah. They didn't realize that in the year 2025 that Christmas shopping would start sometime in mid-August.
No, yeah. Even Hobby Lobby's got that one messed up.
Yeah.
50% off, yes. But so anyway, Congress made it permanently the fourth Thursday of November in 1941.
Okay.
And that's when it stuck on the calendar forevermore.
Okay, so throughout the years, there's these different moments. You're saying Sarah Joseph Hale had a cookbook, and she kind of popularized this notion of being grateful and having a big feast. And perhaps part of this was so that she could sell cookbooks, but it's still a pretty good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is. It was called Godey's Lady's Book, and it was in print for 30 years back in the 1800s.
Wow. Okay, so this is in the 1800s. Okay,
and we moved forward a little bit there.
Gotcha. All right, and you're saying it was probably George Washington who pushed the idea of turkey, even though they were eating lobster at the first Thanksgiving.
Yeah, if they could catch it. Yeah. Definitely.
So, right. So fish and lobster. Whose idea was it to have cranberry sauce that nobody actually eats?
Cranberries were very popular at one time. For a number of reasons. It was a good food source. There was a lot of nutrition, and it was a good dye for clothes. So
okay. Okay. So
that's where the cranberries usually end up after Thanksgiving. Hey, let's dye some clothes.
Okay, gotcha. That's hilarious. All right, so we have this cookbook. We have FDR kind of putting this, I guess, into law that Thanksgiving is going to be the fourth Thursday of November.
Yeah.
And then now, of course, we have Black Fridays, which is the biggest shopping day of the year, immediately after Thanksgiving, because we need to take care of our retailers.
Yeah. Hey,
What else?
Don't forget Cyber Monday.
Right, exactly. What else do you see when you look back at all of this history?
It just the Macy's parade.
Oh, right.
That's been a tradition. That has nothing to do with the rest of the world, but the very first color TV I ever saw was in Pennsylvania when I was a little guy. They had you could buy this film to put over your television that added color to black and white. And we were just so excited because there was a football game on and I saw it in color. Woohoo! But
Yeah.
no, it was the tradition. I guess I skated over the fact that Abraham Lincoln designated the last Thursday, which sometimes gets a little bit too close to Christmas, and that's why in 1941 they made it the fourth Thursday. So if there's 5 of them in the month, yeah, it's still going to be the fourth Thursday.
Right. Yeah. It's so fun to look at all of these things as we go into this week. But I think all of our listeners would agree that the most important thing is being grateful. What a great holiday. I have an idea though, Bernie. Let's find someone who will make a cookbook that will rival Sarah Joseph Hale's cookbook, and it'll be a desert vegetation cookbook that will showcase the food of the real very first Thanksgiving. Do you think we can make that work?
You know, it's interesting you say that because I've been involved with the Keystone Heritage Park for almost 30 years now. And over time, we put out a number of pamphlets with a number of recipes using plant life only, which would have been something that Oñate, his people, inadvertently created for us to follow.
All right, so we'll have our prickly pear jelly. We'll have some cactus root salad, some duck. That sounds good.
Mesquite beans are very good.
Yeah, there you go. Mesquite beans. I enjoy those as well. We're going to put together a cookbook that will show the menu of the real very first Thanksgiving, and see if we can get our citizens of the borderland on board with creating this new Thanksgiving menu. Probably people won't celebrate that in November. They're still going to want to get their enormous turkeys from the grocery store, but maybe we can have our alternative Thanksgiving on April, is it 20th? Yeah. All right.
April 30th. Sorry.
Oh, April 30th. Okay. So we're going to have our rival Borderland Thanksgiving on April 30th. And have all of these menu items.
Yeah. You know, it might be fun too, is you might have your friend over there that saving the hacienda and thank him for that. I really appreciate it because it was very close to being torn down at one time.
Right.
But maybe he could generate a cookbook using the native plants and make that a little feature of his. I think he's going to be putting together a school over there also.
Right. Yeah, I will definitely talk to Sammy about that, about creating a desert Thanksgiving cookbook. Yeah, I feel like this is going somewhere.
And, you know, if he wants, I can put him in touch with the folks at Keystone that have that basic knowledge. And we've even done that whenever we've had fundraisers. It's all been native plant food, and it's been kind of fun.
That's super cool. All right. So again, let's kind of summarize what we've talked about, Bernie. We had, of course, we all had the story we learned in school of the Pilgrims, the Mayflower, Plymouth Rock in 1620, but Oñate came in 1598 to Chicken Ranch Road in San Elizario here in El Paso County and gave thanks. We were first, right, Bernie?
Absolutely. I say that as a resident of East Texas.
Okay, so that's a powerful statement. We were here first in El Paso County. We had the first Thanksgiving, and I hope that we, as El Paso County, will continue to lead the way in gratitude. Let's be thankful to those around us. Let's be thankful to our neighbors. Let's be thankful to the great things we have here in the borderland. What a great heritage we have. Let's celebrate those things and remember to be grateful, not just on the fourth Thursday of November, and not just on April 30th, as borderland tradition dictates, but always give thanks for all the things we have here. What a great life we have.
We are blessed and share that blessing.
Amen. Amen. Bernie, always appreciate you coming on. Super fun conversations. Again, as we learn to love our city, let's love the history. And as we learn to love the history, we will understand where we come from and also a little bit more of where we're going. Truly appreciate your time.
And maybe next time we can talk about how the Spanish helped the Americans, the colonies, beat the British.
Oh, okay. You have me on the edge of my seat now. We will definitely talk about that next time.
Okay,
Bernie, Bernie, appreciate you. Thank you so much. And to all our listeners, happy Thanksgiving. Let's continue to learn to love our city, love our neighbors, give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. In order to listen to previous editions of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media. Let's learn together to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.